It is time once again for Yankees Baseball Daily on Yes. Bob Lorenz with you as we get set to slice and dice our way through the latest Yankees and Major League Baseball news, rumors, trades, and info. And joining me to do that from the New York Times, Tyler Kepner, Jack Curry, and from CBSSports.com, John Heyman. So let's start with news of the day as it relates to the Yankees. The team failing to come to terms on any sort of agreement with the guy that they won the posting bid for, the Japanese shortstop Hiroyuki Nakajima. And Jack, this just seemed like a marriage from the start that might not work out.
It seemed like it was a marriage that was on the rocks from the start, and we probably shouldn't even call it a marriage because it never got to that point. I think the Yankees put a modest bid out there for him and might have been a little surprised that they won it. This was a guy who was a star player in Japan. The Yankees didn't have anything for him except a reserve role. The best the Yankees were going to offer was a one-year deal, and here's what Nakajima had to deal with. He can't negotiate. It's one team. He doesn't have all 30 teams, so he can go back to Japan, be an unrestricted free agent next year, and be allowed to negotiate with everyone. Yankees also know they have Eduardo Nunez in-house. They can get Eric Chavez back. But, John, you tweeted today that suddenly maybe the door is open for some other teams for Eric Chavez as well.
Yeah, definitely. There are teams interested in Chavez. He had a very nice year with the Yankees last year, fit in nicely in the clubhouse. Wouldn't be surprised if he did wind up going back to the Yankees. People seem to like it when they're a Yankee. But the Padres are interested, the Rays are interested, the Nationals are interested. Not surprising. A nice bench player, and guy as a former star doesn't mind being a bench player. That's a rarity. But he and Andrew Jones were like that last year.
Well, you mentioned Padres, Nats, and Rays. Of those teams, Tyler, it would seem to me that he wants to go to a winner, a guy that can get a ring. That would be the Yankees or the Rays.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's been through that playoff ringer a few times with the A's against the Yankees, and the Yankees last year is a playoff disappointment. At this stage in his career, with all the injuries he's been through, I think he's just in it to get that ring.
All right. Also, news of the day, and the Marlins agreeing to a deal that gets Carlos Zambrano from the Cubs in exchange for Chris Volstad. So let's talk about that, because this is finally a huge headache, Tyler,
right,
out of the Cubs camp and into the Marlins camp.
Right. I mean, the Cubs did great just to get anybody in this deal, let alone a somewhat established starting pitcher in Chris Volstad. They got to pay about $15 million, $15.5 million of that salary. But to get rid of that headache, it's huge for the Cubs. And from the Marlins' perspective, they've got a manager in Ozzie Guillen who has a long-standing relationship with Zambrano. And Larry Beinfest on the conference call today with reporters said that Guillen was the key to this. You know, Guillen thinks that he can get the best out of Carlos Zambrano. So we'll see.
Guillen is probably going to be as much of a controversial figure or combustible figure as Zambrano would be, so why not? Why not put these two guys together, fellow Venezuelans, and they're not going to ask this guy to do a lot for them. They're asking a guy who used to be a premier pitcher in the National League to be a number 5 starter for $2.5 million. I think it was worth a shot by the Marlins. I give them credit for taking a chance with this.
You know, Guillen is a funny guy. He thinks he can solve everybody. He's going to solve Hanley Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez is moving to third. He's not happy about that. Now he's got another guy who's potentially going to be unhappy. I mean, potentially, that's being kind. He's obviously going to be unhappy at some point. This guy is always having a problem with something. So, Guillen, you know, they said he got this great 4-year deal, but he's going to earn every penny of that $10 million that he's going to get over the $4 million, because he's really, you know, he's really asking for it here, I think.